Hi, it's Gladys with Road to Self-Reliant, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about my hurricane preparation checklist because I live on the Atlantic coast of Florida, and I'm recording this at the end of July in 2021, and we've already had one system come through Florida. It actually didn't hit us. We just got some wind and rain and not much of that either. The tropical storm Elsa, which I think was temporarily a hurricane for a while, um, did develop and come through. It's early, but that's also the second year in a row we've had a July hurricane in our vicinity. So the preparation becomes even more important. Hurricane season runs June 1st through November 30th, and it can even go a little outside of those dates, as with many weather events. Our normal high season for that is August, September, early October, but again, they can come at any time. So, in order to be prepared, I have created a checklist. So, when I moved to Florida, the first couple of years I lived here, there wasn't really any tropical weather. It was great. And then in 2016, Hurricane Matthew swiped up the East Coast, and that was my first hurricane, and it got up close to a category 2. I'm not sure what the official reading on it was. It was bad enough. But in getting ready for it, my husband, who's lived in Florida nearly 25 years, was explaining all the different things that had to be done to get ready for it. And I started making notes. And at the end of it, I took all the notes I had written and typed them up into a checklist. And then every time we've got another system potentially coming, I print off a copy of the checklist and start going through it. Some things can be done early on, and some things need to wait until the last minute because I really don't want to be living with boarded up windows any longer than I have to. And since my garden is primarily in containers, we put that in the garage, but I don't want my plants in there any longer than they have to be so they can still get light and good water and things like that. So the checklist tells me everything I need to do and also kind of helps me plan out when I'm going to do it. And I keep a household notebook, and I've got a copy that I have printed off and put in here. So it's real easy for me to pull it out and kind of start flipping through it. And then again, when I need to start, I start editing on it, make notes as I need to, and then after the fact, I can revise it as needed and keep it up to date. So let's take a more detailed look at my checklist, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for checklists you can create of your own. All right, so here's a look at the checklist, and mine kind of is on 4 different pages, and I've divided it up. So this is stuff that I need to do. So I want to get everything that needs to be charged up, charged up. This is something that can come off because I'm really not selling much on eBay anymore. Do I have any bills that need to be paid? Go ahead and make sure those are done. Get cash, fill up all vehicles with gas, or check to see if they need it. Buy some ice. Fill Ziplocs with some ice to put in the freezer and refrigerator in case we lose power, things like that. And then there's stuff we need to do inside the house. So our stove is natural gas, but the lighter for it takes the electric spark, so we have to get a lighter out to do that. Make sure all the flashlights are out, have batteries. Get the candles out and move them throughout the room, some different little lamps we've got. Pull in these are some old towels we've got, so we pull those in to put under the doors and around the windows in case rain blows in. Shoes to put on in case glass is blowing around, gloves, and rain gear so that when we do need to go outside, we've at least got rain gear to put on. And this is all stuff that can be done well ahead of time. I can go ahead and check for batteries and pull the candles out. And I kind of take the attitude, even if I pull all this stuff out and don't need it, it's good practice, it's good preparation, it's a good way to check everything. And I'd rather do it and not need it than need it and not do it. And then outside the house, So here's another change I need to make. We don't have the hot tub anymore. That is now more of a container garden space, so I can mark that off the list, and the next time I revise it, then I will just go in and delete that. Um, don't need to worry about doing a lot of that, but we put down some pavers on different places to hold things down. And then like the umbrella from the patio tables to come in, the plants go to the garage, but again, that's going to be the last thing we do. Move things into the garage shed. That can be done a little bit ahead of time. But again, it's a lot of work, so you don't necessarily want to do a lot of that until you know something's really coming. But normally we get several days. It's just long, busy days. Then we have to tie off some of our plants that are in the ground and do some other covers on the front porch. Here's some things we need to do, and then board up the windows, put down the awnings. That's the biggie because it makes the house so dark. We don't want to do that until the very end. That and the plants are the last things. And then just move the garbage can. Now we don't have the trailer anymore, so don't have to worry about tying that down. And then here's what we do with the plants. You know, some of them, like the big bird of paradise outside the living room window, it's got to be wrapped up and tied off just to try to keep it from blowing quite so much. And then we can trim up some stuff we would need to, tie the avocado tree to the bars on the windows, things like that. So that's just kind of a little look at what I have created. Like I said, you know, every time we go through this, I end up writing a few notes on the side, and then afterwards I edit this document and print off a fresh copy to use. So if we were doing this a lot, it would probably be a little different. I might just have a reusable copy and just make rows over here and check it off each time. But so far, we've only needed to do this at most once a year, and some years we haven't used it at all. So that's something to be thankful for. All right, so as I said, we haven't normally needed to use this checklist more than once a year. In some years, we haven't even needed it at all. So that's where the checklist is really handy because it's not something we deal with consistently. So rather than trying to remember all the things we need to take care of and hope we remember, the checklist is just a great way to go through and mark out what you do get done. So I want to encourage you to think about what events might happen around you where a checklist would be handy. Certainly hurricanes is one. Blizzards is another one I think of because a lot of times you can see a system is coming and have a good approximation of when it may hit, and you've got a little bit of time to get ready. And it's not so much I want to tell you, go run out and stock up on groceries. I'd like to think you were already pretty much stocked on groceries. Maybe there's a couple of things you want to pick up, but overall you're ready. But what about your house and your home could be done to try to make it a little bit safer while you go through this event? If you've got a generator, make sure it works. That's one of the things we have to do. A neighbor has a generator and he will share with us, so we have to check that out. Make sure you've got enough blankets handy in case the power does go out or you lose your heat of any kind. I grew up in South Arkansas, and our big weather event were tornadoes. So in a lot of ways, you kind of go into tornado season like we do hurricane season. They can happen at any time, but what are things you could do to be as prepared as possible? If you hear the weather forecast that there's a chance of storms for the next couple of days, get your patio furniture and put it up. You know, different things like that. Everybody's checklist is going to be different because it's going to be specific to your needs. But I encourage you to take a few minutes and just start listing out everything you can think of. And then when it comes up, you go through your checklist and you see, oh, I forgot to put this on there, or this really doesn't matter after all. And so you revise it. You cross stuff out, you write stuff in, you retype it if you want to do that, and print off a fresh copy and use it again, because they are constantly a work in progress to make it current and up to date for your needs right now. So that's my hurricane preparation checklist. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing more on my journey to self-reliance, and I hope this helps you in some way as well. Till next time.